Well, hello, everybody. Today I'm going to go over America's foreign policy. And to start, we're going to establish what foreign policy is. So, foreign policy refers to the plans and actions a nation takes in every aspect of its relationships with other countries. These could be diplomatic relationships, military, commercial relationships, etc. It includes all the federal government's official statements and its actions as it conducts foreign relations. So, some examples include alliances, international trade, the defense budget, foreign economic and military aid, the United Nations, nuclear testing, and disarmament negotiations. So here's a picture. This was Donald Trump's first Secretary of State on the right, Rex Tillerson. But some policies have not changed over time. So, for example, freedom of the seas has been a basic part of American policy from the nation's beginnings. But there are some more flexible foreign policies. For example, America's relationship with the Soviet Union, which is now Russia. The president is both chief diplomat and commander in chief of the armed forces. So a couple of things to go over relating to foreign policy is isolationism and internationalism. So these are two approaches to how the United States deals with other nations. Isolationism is a purposeful refusal to become involved in the affairs of the rest of the world. So this was America's policy after World War I, kind of just like let the rest of the world take care of itself. This position changed with World War II. Today, the US is heavily involved in events around the globe. Okay, wars and other political upheavals abroad have an impact on the United States. Threats posed by rogue states can threaten American security. Economic conditions elsewhere in the world also have a direct effect on the United States. And policies that promote the security of all nations can assure the security and well-being of the United States. So really, in our global world, we can't totally isolate any longer. Things around the world will have some kind of impact on the U.S. Okay, so the State Department is responsible for setting a lot of the United States foreign policy, and it is headed by the Secretary of State, who is appointed by the President and then confirmed by the Senate, and leads the country in foreign policy issues. So it is organized along both geographic and functional lines. It includes the Bureau of African Affairs, the Bureau of East Asian and Pacific Affairs, etc. So those would be the geographic lines. And other agencies have a broader mission. So things like the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs. So those would be across different geographic areas. So the Secretary of State is one of the leaders of the president's cabinet. The first Secretary of State was Thomas Jefferson. The first woman was Madeleine Albright in 1997. The first African American was Colin Powell in 2001, and the first African American woman was Condoleezza Rice, appointed in 2005. Okay, the U.S. Foreign Service is also falls under impacting the America's foreign policy. There are over 13,000 people who represent the United States in the Foreign Service. Members are selected through a series of written and oral exams, and they serve at any of the 265 U.S. diplomatic missions around the world, including embassies and consulates. So some of you may know people that work in the Foreign Service. Okay, international law. So this is referring to the rules and principles that guide sovereign states in dealing with one another. So think of it as the rules of the nations of the world. Okay, under international law, every nation has the right to send and receive diplomatic representatives. And sources of international law include things like treaties, decisions of international courts, etc. Okay. We also have ambassadors. So these are official representatives of a state in the conduct of foreign affairs. There are about 180 countries the U.S. has diplomatic relations with. Ambassadors promote American interests